Hello, I'm going to talk today about the influence of Catholicism in the United States. Um, Unlike a lot of the other denominations or iterations, I suppose, of Christianity, because this is less denomination and more maybe a cousin or an uncle, maybe. There's an interesting relationship, obviously, between Catholicism and the rest of Protestantism, though that isn't the focus of this. One of the things that makes it different is that while it was in the United States pretty early on, particularly in Maryland, it wasn't super influential. It wasn't super widespread in the way that Protestant religions were at that time. In fact, in 1789, when there was the first elected Catholic bishop in the United States, there were only about 35,000 Catholics living in the United States, which is relatively insignificant, with 60% of them living in Maryland. So the influence of Catholicism in Maryland from the beginning was quite strong, but for the rest of the nation, not as much. But as with many religions, between the late 1700s and throughout the 1800s, there's an explosion in influence and in size of the group. So by 1830, there's 300,000, which is obviously a little less than 10 times more than there was 41 years prior, which is an enormous explosion. And of course, there was correlating growth in the population of the nation, but not at that rate. And then going forward, the 1840s and 1850s were particularly 1850s were particularly important for the Roman Catholic Church. And they saw growth in a way that did help other denominations, but maybe helped Catholicism more than any other, which was through immigration. In the 1840s, it says that 800 to 900,000 Irish persons came to the United States, largely in part to the potato famine that was ravaging the nation at the time. And while not all of them were Roman Catholics, or just Catholics in general, a larger number of them were than other denominations or religions. And then in the 40s and 50s, there was 1.5 million Germans, and many Germans were Lutherans and other denominations of Protestantism, but many were also Catholic as well, so that also really helped the numbers. You can see this all come together by 1860, where there is now 3.1 million Catholics, which is 10 times as many as there were only 30 years prior in 1830, which was almost 10 times higher than it had been 41 years prior to that in 1789. So you see this almost exponential growth in the population of Catholics in the United States. And another thing that you have to consider is land acquisition, which is another thing that makes the spread of Catholicism unique relative to other forms of Christianity, because with the Louisiana Purchase, we got territory that had people who were already Catholic there. And then land that we got from Mexico also had higher proportions of Catholics in it, which is worthy of consideration, I think. Quickly, key members during this time: John Carroll, super influential. He actually was important in helping ease public sentiment towards Catholics by trying to get support of French Catholics during the Revolutionary War in Canada. I guess they were more Canadian Catholics. And then he became the first American bishop. But I think one of the interesting points about Catholics or Catholicism's relationship with the United States is there's a tension between the influence of the church and the pursuit of liberty by the people. And while this is maybe a topic for another video, I think there's an interesting tension there between the church wanting to control things and wanting to be influential, but then the people wanting their freedom. Thanks.